Hi friends, today is day 22 of hashtag 30 Days of Magic, and today I want to talk about triggers, specifically sobriety triggers. So sobriety doesn't have to mean alcohol or drugs only specifically, and there might be other things in your life that you're trying to abstain from. For example, gossip, or smoking, or overeating, or compulsive oversharing, or a variety of different things, physical, mental, emotional. We all have things that we use to fill a void inside of ourselves. And so when I'm talking about sobriety right now, I'd like to invite us to just step into a broader perception of what that word means. A lot of times when we say sobriety, we immediately just think alcohol or drugs. But we all have addictive patterns and addictive behaviors, and the underlying traumas and reasons and stories and experiences are all very similar, which is how we end up coping using various external substances or activities or ways of being to soothe ourselves. So let's just start with that definition of sobriety as being a little bit broader than we might normally think of it. And then if we think about sobriety triggers, and so this is a conversation that's come up a couple of times for me in the last few days. I've gotten a couple of personal messages, and in conversation with friends and in my community and connecting with others, I've been receiving a question around how I navigate triggers related to my sobriety journey, which is to live an alcohol-free lifestyle. And I thought that if so many people are asking about it, then maybe there's more people out there that would benefit from also hearing. So here we go. Things that I do to process, to deal, to face triggers that come up in relation to sobriety. So the most recent example of this was I just went on a road trip today. I had some errands in a city nearby, and my assistant and I were driving in the car listening to house music, hardcore house, like old school house I hadn't listened to in many years, and just dancing and enjoying and being in the moment and driving, and the music itself. And as I was listening, and it's like a 2.5 hour drive, or a 2-hour drive plus driving around and 2 hours back, so we've been listening to this music for quite a bit. And on the way home I started to realize that, oh gosh, I could really like go out and party, could make some choices or decisions that I used to make in my life, different points of time, different scenarios. And I realized that, oh, I think I remember that I stopped listening to house music, like the heavy, hard, dance your ass off kind of house music, after I stopped doing substances in my 20s. And I thought, oh, it's because of this reason, this feeling that I have in my body, this desire that arises up in me when I feel that bass and that beat pumping through my body, that it just brings me back to a time and a place very specific. And then we talked about it in our drive, and it was relating to questions that people were asking, and so it just got me inspired to share. Like, the number one thing I did was acknowledge it, right? And like making it feel okay. It's normal that I would have a trigger. It's normal that I have a reminder of how something felt in my body, took me back to a time and a place, and then I would want to recreate that feeling. And so first acknowledging it and accepting it, and releasing any judgment, guilt, or shame related to the thought or that feeling or the desire that gets sparked within us. So that was the first thing. The second thing is to talk about it, to acknowledge it, to process it. And I'm so blessed that I have friends and community that, yeah, this is a journey that we're on together. And so after that, like, what are the practical things? So practically, when I have triggers come up in my day-to-day life, one of the main things that I do is I go for a run or a walk. I hike, I move my body, I dance, I'll do some stretching or yoga. And the reason why I move my body is because there's an energy that's stimulated inside of my body that I would normally soothe with a substance or alcohol or gossip or whatever, smoking, whatever you do, overeating. And so that energy is there and it needs to be moved. And we need to move our body in order to move energy through our body. And this is the number one thing that my brain goes to. It's the most immediate. I also listen to music, so we incorporate sound. And that really works. I'm also really conscious of my breath. And breath and movement kind of go hand in hand, because when we're moving and breathing intentionally and with awareness, this is what can be the most beneficial in moving the energy. And so with that awareness of coordinating your breath, strong inhales, strong exhales, feeling your breath move through your body, becoming aware of where tightness or tension is in your body, and using your breath to soften your body, to focus on visually with moving breath, feeling the energy dissipate, and sometimes just breathing into the sensation in the body and allowing whatever emotion to arise or to move, be it anger, sadness, dancing like a crazy person, or rocking out to some hard music, whatever, helps move that for you. So other things that I do is I have become really clear about my boundaries, about who I spend time with, about what places I spend time in, and the most important one is really honoring when it feels like time to go in my body. And so when I feel like, okay, now I have to go, now I have to move, I unapologetically remove myself. And so sometimes it can just get a little overstimulated in a public setting or in a restaurant with a group of friends, and I just get up and I leave. And I go home, or I go somewhere else, or I go for a walk. If I'm feeling too constricted in my house, I just get out. I broaden my perspective. I get out of, the four walls and a roof, and I get outside in nature where I can breathe and feel expansive. So being specific about where I put my energy, where I put my time, who I spend my time with, the places I go to, all of these things can be really big triggers when you're trying to avoid a pattern, in similar environments with similar people or in similar situations. And so the way you can apply this, maybe you have some friends that really just love to talk about other people, or, maybe you have friends that have similar things. We were talking about sugar addiction and desserts, and if you get together and you all know you love to have chocolate brownie sundae, then that's what you're going to go do together. And it's much easier to do those types of things if somebody else is doing it with you. And so sometimes we need to change our patterns, change our habits, change the activities that we do together, so on and so forth. And then just really honoring your boundaries and listening to your body. I journal and I write, and that can help process thoughts and emotions. Reading something inspirational, following inspirational people on Instagram, reading books by people who have shared journeys in whatever area specific to what you could relate this to. And those are some of my tips and tricks. Having support is key, of course, people that you trust, that you can share honestly and openly with. And that's what I got for you today. I'm just noticing that we're almost coming up at 10 minutes, and just sharing a little bit about sobriety for this hashtag 30 Days of Magic. Sobriety triggers, how we process them, identify them, feel them, breathe into them, move them, and then choose a different habit. It's really that simple. The power of choice is no joke. In every moment, with every breath, your choice is always yours, and what you do with that choice is up to you. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks for being on this journey with me, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night.